Now, what I want is something like Jarvis or something that comes out of a TV wherein there's a robot. I ask it to do anything and it does that. The rise and the significant improvement in the LLMs is what is driving this. Now, once you have figured out, just imagine the AI agentic conversation that is happening across the world, where we are saying that AI agents will replace software. It is exactly the same analogy, right? You earlier had custom specific software which did specific things, handled specific cases. Now it's being replaced by AI agents, which are much more smarter. They understand the intent, they know the components that they need to use, and they execute it. The same thing is happening in the robotics world. You talk to a see of all the examples that you just gave, right? It might not seem, but the Apple's example is the most important and more critical example. The fact that the robot has the capability to understand that this is an apple, he understands that he needs to give it to the other robot, and that robot knows if it's a rotten apple, it needs to be thrown, and if it's a good apple, it needs to be put in the refrigerator. Historically, you could have built an apple picking robot, but it would only work on robots. These robots will work on bananas, they will work on juice, they will work on meat, whatever. So this rise in your LLMs, and because of LLMs, your silicon, the rise of LLMs has made sure that NVIDIA's and other chip makers of the world are making faster.
So is the interaction of two essentially LLMs the same whether it is being in hardware format or whether it is in software format?
This would be
This
a
is the same
little
concept.
simplification, but it is more or less that only, right?
Okay.
A robot now has a bigger brain, for the lack of a better
Hmm.
word, right?
Hmm.
They earlier they had a brain, they a simple programmed if this do that, if not do that, otherwise give an error. Now they have the ability to perceive things, to see things. Earlier they were limited with this is a thing. Now
Hmm.
they look at a thing, they see this is an apple, they look at the context. Now an apple in the kitchen and an apple in on a breakfast table are two entirely different contexts. You no longer need to program that. Looking at the
Okay.
context, the
Okay.
robot can now make a judgment, which is making them more usable.
So my question is, see, I have lived in the Bay Area for a long time. I used to
Mhm.
see these self-driving cars, and for 10 years I've seen them train these self-driving cars, all right?
Yes.
In the household example, are you saying, let's say I have a couple of use cases, like I have to manage the kitchen, clean the kitchen, cook a few dishes, all of these things. You are saying this is more trainable, faster trainable now?
Yes. This is
Okay.
exactly. So again, there are many reasons why this has significantly improved. Is
Hmm.
one, the robot that you, let's say you get a robot today. Now the
Hmm.
robot is immediately able to, and let's compare this with a Roomba, because a
Hmm.
Roomba is the best example compared, very similar to a self-driving car. A
Hmm.
Roomba will map your house and do a lot of things on its own, but that is where it is limited. But your robot can look at the house, look at what kind of appliances you have, how high or how low your things are, and then adjust itself. Now, it will not only train on the real time, but the original training is also helped by the increase in the capacity of LLMs. How would you, if you were to build this robot, how would you train it? You would simulate a lot of different environments, right? Different homes, different layouts. Using AI, now you can generate these simulations at a much faster rate and at a much higher resolution. If you take Sora or any video generation, you can generate videos. Earlier, you would have
But
had
there is a
to
problem with
make.
something like Sora, right? If Sora is only 95% accurate, you
Mhm.
multiply that level of accuracy 95 into 95 into 95.95.95, you get low accuracy. So how feasible is it to train using AI generated output if it's that output itself cannot be good?
That is a very good point. That is valid. But my thing is, you can always compensate for it in your how you split your testing data. Now,
Hmm.
I'm not saying you replace all of your real world data with synthetic data, but
Hmm.
what you can do is you can have a, first of all, 95% is a very good number, to be very
Hmm.
honest.
Hmm.
95% is as good as it gets.
Hmm.
You have more data now, so the just by the virtue of having more data, your robot has better understanding of what could go wrong. You are no
Hmm.
longer limited by, see, when you are training something, you don't just train it for the positive scenario. You also train
Hmm.
it for the negative scenarios, which is
Hmm.
where all of this comes into picture. You have to train it. Plus, again, the hardware and all, everything has significant